Walk us through sort of the dynamics right now that you're seeing, at least in your core business.
Thanks, Carl. It's great to be here. Yeah, this was our sixth quarter in a row of double-digit top-line growth in constant currency. We grew 7% reported, 11% in constant currency. As I said, 6 quarters in a row of double-digit constant currency growth. And importantly, the bottom line grew at an accelerated pace, 21% growth in constant currency, 14% in reported. So what's most pleasing about the quarter, though, is growth was really broad-based. We grew our men's business, women's business, tops, bottoms. We grew all 3 regions. In fact, all 3 regions grew top and bottom line double-digit in constant currency. So the growth was really broad-based. Real strength in the Levi's brand, which was up 10%, but all 4 of our brands also grew this quarter. So barely a weak spot in the quarter, really strong, broad-based growth, clearly demonstrating that our strategies are working.
Chip Morgan here. In terms of that broad-based growth, just to drill down on one market in particular, Europe, I know it's been a real bright spot over the last couple of years. And we had ECB this morning and comments from that central bank about, increased risks to the downside, slowing global growth. We've got all this uncertainty that continues to swirl around Brexit. And of course, those retaliatory tariffs in Europe on American-made denim. How do you assess that market right now, and how are you planning for what could be potential slowdown there, further slowdown there this year?
Europe has been a real bright spot for us, Morgan. It grew over 20% the last 2 years in a row, so we're really defying gravity over there when you consider all of the headwinds that the business has been facing. And that's in an economy that's growing a couple of points a year. So we've had really, really good success in Europe, and that success continued into this quarter. We grew 10%, comping 30% growth first quarter a year ago. So, the numbers are actually pretty staggering, and it really speaks to the strength of the Levi's brand. Having said that, one of the things as we did our call yesterday with analysts, we did not change our guidance for the full year. Which we've guided kind of mid-single digits. And part of the reason for that is there are still a lot of headwinds out there, not just in Europe, but we're facing continued door closures in U.S. wholesale. In Europe, we do have Brexit. We have a slowing economy across Europe, the risk of needing to take pricing because of currencies. So there are a lot of uncertainties still. China tariffs is another one. And since we're still early in the year, this was just our first quarter, which we've reported, there are downside risks as well as some upside opportunities for us. It's just too early to change our guidance.
Chip, give us some color on direct-to-consumer specifically and the higher end of your brand offerings. How is the growth in those in particular compared to those overall numbers you reported?
So direct-to-consumer is one of the 3 legs on our strategy, John. It's a really important part of building this brand. I'm a brand guy, as you know, and in our own stores and on our own e-commerce site, we can control how the brand shows up. Our DTC business has been growing double-digit for 12 quarters in a row. And it's growing consistently around the world. When we can control the brand and how the brand shows up as a true lifestyle brand, we can win. Our mainline business, which is the more premium part of our offerings around the world, is really strong across the world. And in fact, the strongest region for mainline right now is in Europe, having just talked about Europe. But strong growth really across the board in DTC. Strong growth in brick and mortar. We don't give comp store growth, but we did indicate in the call that we comped positively on a global basis. And really strong growth in our e-commerce business, up over 20% last quarter.
Hey, Chip, is this true? Your first visit to a foreign market following the IPO was to China?
It is indeed true. China is one of my top priorities, Carl. It's a huge market, a huge opportunity. What do we got to get done? We've got to get a lot done over there. I mean, it's only 3% of our business today, and when I look at some of our peers, it's up to 20%. I mean, Nike does 20% of their business today in China. It's a real big opportunity for us. We just hired a new managing director about 6 months ago for that market. She's Chinese, which helps a lot. But we've got a lot of work ahead of us. We do have a really strong brand, so we've got a foundation to build on there. But we've got a lot of work to do to really turn that business into the growth engine that it should be.